When I went through spiritual direction, I was introduced to the Enneagram. And coming from the business world, I've done it pretty much all. Myers Briggs, we've done the colors and all of that. But I got to the Enneagram and I approached it a little bit differently in that it opened up a side of me that I could look into my own self, how God created me, and how God speaks to me, and how the Father and I communicate with each other. So, number one, it gave me some insight into me. And in getting insight into me, it also gives me insight into others, not to fix them, but for me to see how they're wired, and then how do I work with that individual? How do I formulate questions? How do I try to hear what they're really saying? And as an Enneagram 8, of course, I approached it with, oh my goodness, that is not what I want to be. I do not want to be an 8. May I be something else? But as I looked at being an 8, it was looking at, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And God took particular care in creating me to be the woman that I am. So my question was, okay, Holy Spirit, how do you want me to be in my eightness? And how do you want me to be with others in my eightness? Eights are usually described as the people who uh, we have very strong likes and dislikes, very strong opinions. We will walk in a room and decide what needs to get done, and we get things done. I think that's a good way to say it. We get things done. However, we can get things done in a way that can be perceived as abrasive or can be perceived as bossy. So then, how do I take the basics of an 8 and move it over to servanthood? How do I better serve? And that's what I'm always looking and asking myself the question of, how can I serve in my eightness? And how can I walk alongside another individual with this strong personality, with strong opinions, um, and characteristics that are typically ascribed to men? So women who are eights have to really understand God's love, and that God is for me and God is with me in these characteristics that I bring to the table, that He graciously and gently uses. So a part of God comes into my being too, whereas I think God is every number. And I think God um, gives me insight into being gentle and into being compassionate and kind, and and just showing hospitality to others in my eightness.